I've run Amazon FBA warehouses and prep space from my house and 2 different warehouse locations. And I've had an employee who's helped me run the operation throughout the way pretty much for the whole journey. Optimizing prep is something that not a lot of people talk about, so I'm going to bring in my former warehouse manager, share what it's really like to run an Amazon FBA warehouse, and give you the best advice for running your own operation. Hey everyone, so today we are joined by my former warehouse manager, Josh. We're going to be diving into his experience throughout the couple years working with me. He's worked with me really at all the different stages of my business, going from prepping out of my house to moving into my first warehouse and then taking a long journey out to Delaware with me to start up kind of a bit of a larger operation. So super excited to dive into that, his experience, and give you guys some practical advice for running your own prep operation, whether that's going to be out of your house, warehouse, or maybe even starting your own prep center. So Josh, super excited to have you. Thank you very much for joining us, coming on to share your expertise and experience. Let's go ahead and start off. If you want to, kind of just introduce yourself to everyone.
So yeah, we met in college. I was his RA, and he was one of my best residents on the hall. And then we just the second year of college, we weren't living on the same hall anymore, and I just bumped into him in the library, and he was doing arbitrage, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I just saw this Mecha
Godzilla.
yeah, Mecha
I remember that
Godzilla
product.
toy on the computer, and he just started giving me all the numbers and how like his operation worked, and I was like, "Oh yeah, good, sweet." And then in the summertime, I was a college student looking for work, and that thought popped into my head, and so I asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you got any like just part time work, hourly work?" And he was like, "Yeah, actually, I do have something." I went up there. We just hit it off from there, and I kept working for him, putting in shifts. Just really started at the bottom, scraping tags off of bras, and just slowly, every shift I kept working for him, he kept training me on the next thing of like how to do a shipment, and before I knew it, I was doing whole shipments for him.
Yeah. Definitely started kind of slow.
Yeah.
Back in those early days, those Kohl stickers, man, they were a pain to get off. But starting slow with the stickers and then moving up until you could actually build the entire shipment until I was able to outsource everything.
Right.
So yeah, let's talk about kind of the transition. So I think whenever you first started working for me, I had the first warehouse already, right?
You did. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about, kind of what that warehouse looked like, what that operation looked like. Really what it was a former office building,
Mm-hmm.
and we were kind of just using it as a warehouse. So
Yeah.
kind of part of my journey, I started off doing all my own prep just in my house, and then eventually after, a little over a year, got a first warehouse from an office building, just a place to kind of level up, and then eventually got the Delaware warehouse. But let's talk about first impression of that initial warehouse.
My first impression was this is really cool. There's a lot of random stuff here. This is wild. Just anything from soap to bras to toys. And then eventually there was like grocery and stuff like that in there too. Um, and then as I got to working, I was trying to just figure out the space, and okay, I'm in this room today, or I'm in this room today. There was kind of like one main hallway and 2 rooms, and then there was like a back room where Logan was doing back end stuff that I didn't understand. And so as I started to figure out the whole operation, I realized how like inefficient the space was. And Logan had already told me about that. We kind of got bothered by it. And we just really used the inefficient space as efficiently as we could. He just like set up tables all around the outside, tried to leave as much room for us to walk around and just really keep everything linear in how it moved.
Yep.
Between the tables, and then out of the rooms into the main hallway to the front door, and then shipments going out.
Yeah, and talking about how that first warehouse was super inefficient, guys, you're gonna have this anytime you start something new, whether it's a warehouse, new business, any kind of new operation. It's gonna be inefficient at the start, and over time, you're gonna want to recognize those inefficiencies and learn how to fix them. One that really jumps out at me, like this was terrible. So we had a few different rooms, and in one of the rooms we had a fixed desktop computer where we would do all the listing and the scanning and all that, and it's in one room, but we're utilizing the entire warehouse space. So literally you have to go into the other room to scan the item, go back to the computer to list it, and then print, and then go back. super, super inefficient. So eventually what made us really level up is I get a rolling desk and a laptop.
Yeah.
And then like a portable battery to plug in the Rolo and all that. Portable setup. Really, really like game changer, huge. Like
Yeah.
10 seconds back and forth every time for every single item you're listing that compounds. It was crazy. But yeah, you find these things and you find ways that you can maximize your efficiency to become better over time. So yeah, Josh.
Another side of that was this was early days before Logan. He was just getting on the end of outsourcing everything, so he didn't have his systems for setting up for scanning everything. So we were like
Oh my
manually
gosh.
scanning. I was manually going down receipts.
That was terrible.
So those were areas of like inefficiency as well that Logan was just figuring out. That I knew how the systems work. I got fast at it.
Yeah.
But he just once he got everything in Excel, then that made that portable computer even more efficient.
Like really,
for
really
getting
going
stuff.
back into the roots.
Yeah.
We didn't even just list things as we were going along. What we would do is we had a prep sheet that I built. So we would write down like the description of the item,
Yes.
the COGS, the list price, the quantity, the expiration date. We would manually be writing all this stuff down and then going and taking it and listing, and it was terrible. And another thing, I used to buy a lot of bras from Kohl's, and what we would find is we're manually writing down all this info, but the stuff is all out of order. So we have to dig through. It's not even in order when we lay it all out. So what I started doing is having the cashiers kind of lay things nicely and neatly. That way we knew exactly the order that the items were going to come in, so at least our manually writing process would be a little better. But yeah, you grow and you evolve over time, and you're going to have so many inefficiencies that you can fix. And hopefully you can avoid some of these through watching this video and listening to our conversation today. Yeah. So then from that first warehouse, we eventually moved on and had a larger space out in Delaware. Josh, you were the warehouse manager out there overseeing a few different employees, helping manage, about a dozen different clients. Kind of break down for us, what were some of your key responsibilities as far as being the warehouse manager and running that space?
Yeah. So first and foremost, just label everything. I would say recognizing that I even now knowing what I need to do, I didn't do a good enough job of that. Like get your paint tape, get your markers, get your printer working, whatever you need to do, your laminator, but just put a label on everything, even if it seems dumb.
Yes.
Different size, all your different sizes of your poly bags, your boxes, all your different sizes.
So physically making a label for where everything in your space goes.
Your storage shed.
A new employee should be able to walk in and know exactly what they're looking at and where things should go when you have supplies come in. Super important. And make it ridiculous.
Yes.
Like at Alpha Candles, we have everything labeled, and people make jokes about it. But we do it for the point of this is super important, and we do it for everything. That way nothing is missed. So that is super important.
So that was another part of my job. I had to come up with systems. I mean, Logan was there bouncing ideas off of each other. He was in the office. Whenever I was training our warehouse workers, so that Excel sheet that Logan created, I'd highly recommend that if you don't have that. But
link down below, you can pick up that spreadsheet for free.
Please do it. It makes it so you can really hire anyone. For if you're starting a prep center, if you just want someone to do prep work for you, but training them on how to find stuff efficiently, quickly, in an organized manner, even if it's not your own stuff, if it's someone else's stuff, everyone kind of orders different stuff. So training them in that, and then just really knowing how to box stuff up, how to bag and tag stuff right. Like what are Amazon's weird off the bat rules,
Yeah. Knowing all the rules is really important, and making sure that you can instill that in your employees definitely takes time, but making sure everyone is staying compliant with the rules that Amazon has is important. So, Josh, one thing that I like to talk about a lot is building relationships. And a key relationship, one of many in this business, is your delivery drivers. So what was your relationship like with our delivery drivers? Maybe even talk about it at the different stages in the business. Delaware, here, warehouse of town. What was it like?
Yeah, so delivery drivers, just in my experience, are some of the most interesting people you will meet. And I mean, really, you wanna you wanna almost treat them like you would one of your employees with a lot of respect, dignity. I mean, really, you should be treating everyone that way. But one thing we just got from Logan, even from back here uh, in the old warehouse days, and even when Logan was doing stuff out of his own house, is just bringing out a cold beverage to them, and maybe even snacks if you have them. Offer it if some of them don't want it. Some of them only want like Gatorade if you have that, whatever it may be. But you just really just chat with them, have a conversation, show interest in who they are. Maybe if if they show some signs of wanting to talk about their personal life, have a
Yeah.
listening ear.
Mm-hmm.
If you get on their good side, they're gonna show up. They're gonna take care of your product. Maybe they'll even show up when they don't have a scheduled delivery.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be happy. You know, there was a couple of times where I had a couple of drivers who were just mad, and they're not even mad necessarily at you, but you just maybe stand there if they want to vent. If they're just mad and you're like, "Hey, can I get you a cold drink?" And sometimes they're like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm having a terrible day. Thank you for the cold drink," and they're just really happy to see you. But you want to get on their good side. They're some of the like
Yeah.
make or break with running a prep center.
Yeah, and help them too. They're gonna be,
Yeah.
delivering a lot of boxes, picking up a lot of boxes. Help them load up, help them unload. Be there to help them. They're a crucial part of your business, and you need to build that relationship. And they're gonna remember you if you're someone who will help them. You're someone who will give them drinks and snacks. I remember this was actually, I think, the day I was packing up the warehouse. You weren't there, but one of the drivers stopped by. He was training somebody, and he was like, "This is one of my favorite stops. They always give us first class service, Gatorade, snacks, all that." So they definitely appreciate it, remember it, and there's going to come a time when you're going to maybe need them to go above and beyond, and they're going to be willing. I have some relationships where I can just text them, they'll swing by and pick up stuff for me.
Yeah.
Regardless of where I'm at. I have my house, a storefront location, they'll meet me where I need them to because I've spent time building that relationship. So that is super important. We kind of talked about our workflow already. So, Josh, what were some of the most challenging aspects of running the warehouse? What were maybe some things that you ran into that were challenging throughout your time?
Right off the bat, I'd say the most challenging is if you have like employees bumping heads or differences in personality. That can be really hard to handle.
Yeah.
Just because if people don't get along or don't want to get along, you can't force them to. And so sometimes that problem solves itself, sometimes it doesn't. And you gotta, just like your space, you gotta be as efficient as you can be, and you gotta take it for what it is. Um, but maybe have them do different jobs. Maybe one of them is bagging and tagging, and the other one is bringing in unboxing product. You know, there's a lot of jobs that are going on in a warehouse, so you can divvy it up. That is one potentially bad friction area. Hiring people can be difficult sometimes. The pay, what kind of you know uh, benefits you're offering, things like
Hours,
that.
flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be a service, take care of your employees, they'll take care of you. Another problem we had was sometimes supplies. Sometimes supplies aren't there on time. Sometimes maybe I messed up, I didn't do my job, and I thought we had more of a supply than we didn't. Those things are going to happen. Get creative. Maybe you got to run to a local Staples.
Run.
That's right. Staples is nearby. Walmart's nearby. Maybe you have to take an L and use a bigger box than is needed because that's what you have, or we got to put a bunch of product in smaller boxes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be ideal for your clients, but get creative when you're problem solving. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then on the other end, what were some of the most enjoyable parts of the job? What did you like about prep and running a warehouse?
I just like the space and the routine of the job. So the nice thing about running a prep center is, and I would put this when you're hiring someone, I would say this if you're doing a Zoom call or whatever, is you are going to be checking off a million things off your list. You're going to be a highly productive person every day, and so that's something you can look forward to. you might even want to get a whiteboard going, or have every employee have a notebook, have them like taking notes throughout the day, but maybe have them like create down a list and just like cross it off, check it off whenever they get something done. Because they're gonna realize how successful they are every day.
It's
I like
fulfilling. Feels really good when you get a shipment done.
I mean, Logan, sometimes he would come out on the floor with us and he would help us, and he would just say that was the best day ever. Like, he just get excited.
Yeah.
There is like 150 little soap things that I got to put in bags, and I got to tag each one of them. Like, you get that done, you just felt like you climbed a mountain. So that kind of thing was fun. If we were playing music, we had speakers going. That was fun. I liked lifting the boxes. Felt like a workout. That part was fun. I really enjoyed talking to the drivers, just because they're really interesting people. Some of them are doing other stuff on the side. Some of them are just colorful. So there's really a lot of aspects to enjoy. But yeah, we had like food and snacks. I like just like snacking and working.
Yeah. It's very, it can be very chill, because like there's definitely certain parts in the process where you're just doing something repetitive. It's kind of mundane. You can zone in on their task and just listen to music or a podcast, or maybe even talk to your coworkers. So you could advertise that when you're hiring people. That part of the job is definitely fun. And then making it a fun environment, playing music, having those snacks and drinks available for your employees. And yeah, it really, really feels good when you finish a shipment. So kind of get that dopamine hit towards the end of the day. It's always good if you can get a couple shipments done throughout the day. But yeah.
I mean, some of this will come like as you work together with your crew, but I would say as a manager, like, find those areas to like laugh about. Like, I remember one time very distinctly, we were like printing off like 150 like SKUs of one thing, and so that just like it's coming out of the printer, and it's just insanely long, and we just like stretched it the whole warehouse, and like Logan and the staff and I were just laughing about it. I was like taking a video on your phone. Like, just build those relationships at a point where you can like laugh about stuff and have fun. Like,
make good memories.
Make it fun.
Make it enjoyable.
You got to live in it.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Josh, thank you for joining, sharing your expertise. See you on the next one.